And since 2013, the remit has explicitly recognized that in exceptional circumstances, bringing inflation back to target too rapidly could cause undesirable volatility in output and employment. In exceptional circumstances such as today, when the economy is facing profound structural change, the MPC can extend the horizon over which it returns inflation to target from above in order to balance the effect on jobs and activity. After all, even though monetary policy cannot prevent the weaker real income growth that's likely to accompany the transition to new trading arrangements with the EU, it can influence how this hit to incomes is distributed between job losses and price rises. Monetary and financial stability are foundational. They're necessary for prosperity, but they aren't sufficient to deliver it. The biggest determinants of the UK's medium-term prosperity will be the country's new relationship with the EU and the series of reforms that that relationship catalyzes. Most of the necessary adjustments are real in nature and therefore not in the gift of monetary policy makers. But the bank will do everything it can to support the adjustment consistent with its statutory obligations. We'll continue to assess and express our independent assessment of the risks associated with Brexit. We'll use all our powers, consistent with our remits, to mitigate those risks and to smooth the adjustment to new opportunities. Monetary policy will continue to be set to achieve the inflation target in a way that helps smooth real adjustment and supports jobs in the wake of very large external forces. We'll make sure that banks are capitalized so they can withstand any severe shock, however unlikely, any severe shock that could be associated with Brexit, and still be able to meet the demands of households and businesses for credit.
Now, some argue that a free market economy is an end in itself, and that drawing attention to the downsides is somehow anti-business. Others would use the imbalances which are now apparent as a justification for the total rejection of the free market economy, which has done so much to improve our lives. Instead, they advocate ideologically extreme policies, which have long ago been shown to fail, which are failing people today in places like Venezuela. My argument has always been that if you want to preserve and improve a system which has delivered unparalleled benefits, you have to take seriously its faults and do all you can to address them. Not to do so would put everything we have achieved together as a country at risk. It would lead to a wider loss of faith in free markets and risk a return to the failed ideologies of the past, a return to protectionism in international trade and to inflationary policies at home. Far from somehow protecting the poorest and most vulnerable in our society, that outcome would surely hurt them the most. This is a crucial time to address these fundamental economic questions. Last week in Florence, I set out my vision for the new economic partnership I want our country to build with the European Union in the years ahead. That vision is rooted in a belief in a well-regulated, open, free market economy with sound money and stable prices. As I set out, in leaving the EU, the UK will no longer be members of the single market or customs union. That, of course, will mean changes. You cannot have all the benefits of membership of the single market without its obligations. So our task is to find a new framework that allows for a close economic partnership, but which holds those rights and obligations in a new and different balance. In forging that partnership, that new partnership, we start from an unprecedented position. At the point of our exit, we will have exactly the same rules and regulations as the EU, as our EU withdrawal bill will ensure they are carried over into our domestic law. The challenge, then, is not how to bring our rules and regulations closer together, but what to do when one of us wants to make changes. That fact should give us confidence, and I believe there are further good reasons to be ambitious and optimistic about what lies ahead.